This presentation will discuss the impacts of digital advertising on children in the global south. This is Sandra, and I will be discussing the market's influence on childhood. Erica will follow and discuss what is being advertised. Avijit will discuss how children are being advertised to and its impact to the firms. Finally, Cindy will talk about the kind of protection children have towards advertisement and future trends. What are the impacts of digital advertising on children in the global south? In the ever-expanding global market, studying advertisement towards children is key and vital. Children are consumers, either directly or indirectly. They influence what is purchased and impact family economics. Being dependent on adults, children can also be more severely affected by purchasing choices. What kind of food is purchased? Is it more often now high in fat, sugar, and salt? UNICEF proposed businesses to use marketing and advertising that respect and support children's rights. Yet as the global market grows, instead of children being looked at as citizens, they are seen as consumers and sources of high return on initial investment, producing lifelong loyalty towards brands. Cognitive development in childhood. When looking at childhood development through the Eurocentric lens, Piaget in 1936 created hierarchical stages of cognitive development, and children advance through these stages with the end result being scientific rationality. Roediger John in 1999 built on Piaget's model to explain age-related development and consumer socialization. This characterizes how children, as consumers, know and think at different ages. Children develop from the perceptual, the analytical, and then the reflective stages. Younger children may not know that they are being marketed to, especially if the advertisement is embedded with their favorite cartoon character. Although children can discriminate between television programs for advertising, 90% of younger children cannot explain the difference between commercials and programs. Roediger John argues that it is not until the reflective stage, during adolescence, that children are capable of understanding advertisement because they start to understand complexities of communication and they can make rational judgments about products. However, this is operating under the assumption that purchases are rational, as well as ignores adolescents' emotional vulnerabilities. They have less restraint for consumption, hence, they are the perfect impulse buyer. Childhood and globalization. The consumer childhood perpetuates global hegemony. Daniel Thomas Cook stated, "Childhood and consumption are deeply and unavoidably enmeshed with each other. Markets can mediate problematic identities, eviscerate unwanted ones, as well as assist in creating new or anticipated senses of self. At the same time, they speak to how children's participation in commercial market activities refer to and inform larger, changing notions of childhood, i.e., what kind of social beings children are and should be. Childhood is becoming homogenized, one of conformity. For instance, consumerism is forcing Western childhood ideals. Mattel toys no longer produce Barbie dolls with Asian features to be sold to children in Korea and Japan. Do these children conclude that European blonde hair is more desirable than dark hair?" Children's rights. The UN Convention of the Rights of the Child should have the best interest of the child standard, and applying child right can be used to regulate marketing to children. For instance, in 2014, Mexico was the biggest per capita consumer of Coca-Cola products in the world. It has since adopted the EU pledge, a voluntary commitment by food and beverage companies to advertise to children only products that meet nutritional criteria. I ask though, why advertise at all to children? Exploited child, empowered child. There exists a dichotomy of exploitation and empowerment with children in the marketplace. The exploited or vulnerable child unknowingly consumes while constantly being bombarded with advertisement. The empowered or media-savvy child is a knowing agent making their own consumption decision. Children are neither completely exploited nor empowered, but are aware of not being able to obtain the Western ideals of consumption. Market as educator. Viewing children as having agency provides cover and justification for advertisers to market directly to children. Advertisers have become very influential in shaping childhood, providing cultural products and movies, as well as sponsoring school curricula and museum exhibits. Just last month in the U.S., the Pizza Hut Museum at the Wichita State University opened. Kenneth Pekus was quoted in the article, "Many people are going to see their memories of childhood and learning about how this idea became this international phenomenon." Influences. Not only is childhood being commercialized, so is parenthood. A 2013 study conducted by Barkati Ghassan concluded that there was an association between BMI of mothers and their children and time spent watching TV. The high exposure to TV food advertisement in Mexico may increase the risks for childhood obesity. In addition, peer pressure can have as much or more influence to consumption because of children's desire to want to fit in. Social media increases peer influence, and children often lie about their age to access these sites at a younger age. In addition, advertisement that children are seeing may be inappropriate and may be difficult to distinguish between information, entertainment, and advertisement, thus making it harder for children to recognize when they are being marketed to. Data is the new oil, according to UNICEF. Companies driven by profit have much sway over children's lives. A digital footprint or information about a person online is being generated earlier and earlier in the user's life. The private sector and any entity that collects data have the responsibility to protect information, but motivations are to either sell the data or sell to the user. Research has shown that young people are placing a large amount of personal information online. In Brazil, a study has found that 46% of children regularly publish personal photos online. Who owns the data? How is this data being used? What is being advertised?
The advent of cable television has enabled programmers to create entire channels of child-oriented programming and advertising. The rapid growth in your internet has helped in the creation of child-oriented websites. Another important factor that has caused a rapid growth in channels for advertising targeting children has been the privatization of children's media usage. Globalization has greatly impacted the lifestyles of the middle class and affluent people in the emerging economies such as India, China, Brazil, Mexico, and Thailand. In these countries, majority of the children who reside in rich and middle class homes often have television sets in their bedrooms. In the emerging economies, children often have unsupervised access to a computer. There's very little parental monitoring and control over the content that children view in these emerging economies. And generally, the parental attitude towards children using the internet in these emerging economies tends to be a little bit more relaxed as compared to those parents in the advanced economies. Nowadays, it has been found that kids represent an important demographic to the firms. In addition to their own buying power, the kids also influence their parents' buying decisions. They're also the adult consumers of the future. Nowadays, children tend to have more autonomy and decision-making within family than previous generations. They can nag their parents about what they want their parents to buy. Firms are nowadays employing well-paid psychologists in order to have in-depth knowledge about their children's emotional and social needs at different stages of their lives. Marketing to children nowadays is all about creating something known as pest to power. Factors such as smaller family sizes, dual incomes, and postponing having children until later in their lives allows families to have more disposable income. It's been found that time-stressed parents in the emerging economies substitute material goods for time spent with the kids. The main issue pertaining to digital marketing is regulation of data tracking. It's very important to ensure that children's data cannot be collected as they cannot be expected to give consent to the collection of data. Coming back to the issue of data tracking, there are a few key things that need to be addressed. Some of them are as to whether children can critically understand persuasive intent and intricate data collection techniques and also be able to defend themselves from it. Fact checking is very important, however, it's often not easy to search for the truth via verification of facts. Media can at times plant the seeds of doubt in the minds of young children. Now let's talk about the impact of advertising on children's eating habits in the emerging economies. In the emerging economies, advertising has a huge impact on children's eating habits. Increase in advertising for fast food can lead to high levels of childhood obesity. A high percentage of ads targeted towards children in emerging economies feature fast food and snacks. There have been several studies exploring food advertising and television conducted in Latin American countries and the US geared to Hispanics. And we'll be looking at a few of these in detail in a few minutes. There have been studies conducted pertaining to food advertising and television conducted in Latin American countries and the US geared to Hispanics. An electronic literature search was conducted using databases and open access internet pertaining to food advertising directed to children via television in Latin American countries and Hispanics living in the US that were published from 1985 to 2015. 23 studies were found pertaining to food advertising and television. 6 were conducted in Chile, 5 in Mexico, 4 in Brazil, 3 among Hispanics in the US, and 1 study was done in each of the following countries: Argentina, Peru, Colombia, Honduras, and Venezuela. The studies revealed that a high exposure of TV food advertised was geared towards children. This exposure was associated with the preference and buying of those food items by adults and children with a high BMI and obesity. The studies revealed that obesity has become a pandemic in Latin America. There is an immediate need for effective regulation and supervision of television ads in Latin American countries. It's important to make firms in Latin America that are involved in food advertising directed towards children be held accountable for their actions. The rapid increase in alcohol consumption in the Latin American and the Caribbean region, also known as the LAC region, is mainly due to active promotion of alcohol products by the alcohol industry. The alcohol industry in Latin America and the Caribbean region, known as LAC, uses extensive marketing and advertising to increase the youth's exposure to its products and to promote drinking as socially desirable. The alcohol industry in the LAC region tends to completely ignore the negative impacts of alcohol on health. The alcohol industry in the LAC region extensively advertises on youth radio, television, websites, social media, and mobile phones. It's also involved in sponsorship of sports and music events and product placement in movies and television shows. The youth in Latin American and Caribbean region, also known as LAC, who have already initiated alcohol use, are most susceptible to the promotional messages in alcohol advertising. During the 2014 FIFA World Cup that was held in Brazil, analysis of alcohol promotion indicated that alcohol marketing practices frequently appear to breach industry voluntary codes of practice. The self-regulatory codes in the alcohol industry do not sufficiently protect children and adolescents from exposure to alcohol promotions, especially via social media. In the emerging economies, a large number of ads involving tobacco and alcohol are often aired on television. In the emerging economies, children viewing these ads often tend to have a positive attitude towards alcohol and tobacco. Viewership of these ads causes children and the adolescents to have a strong loyalty that contributes to an increase in youth drinking and smoking.
So the first thing we're going to now explore are the ways that children have been protected in the past from advertisement and the future trends that continue to exist in that prevention. The first thing we're going to explore is the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, or COPPA, from 1998. And this act was created in a response to prevent organizations from collecting information from children. This act, which was created back in 1998, was prevalent in the idea that early on, the government and parents and family members noticed that there was a need to protect children as technology was being made accessible to them. So in this law, it places restrictions on certain businesses and companies and how they market themselves to children. So for instance, if a child who is 13 or younger, when they log on to a website to create an account, let's say it's a children's website for games, it prompts them to verify that they are at 13 and also to verify that they have their parents' consent. There is a notice on the website that alerts them that they need to receive their parents' consent before moving on forward. Additionally, the operator or this company or this business website is able to collect information on the children or on the child when they sign up, but it is part of the terms and conditions that the parents give that permission to do so. So when they alert the child that they need a parent consent, the parent consent is made available for them to say, yes, I want you to have this information, or no, I do not. So in doing so, they're providing this disclosure of personal information from the children. There have been instances of violations of this law, particularly in a children's website that had games for them to play, and that it gave them prizes at the end. So in this violation, you are not able to offer downloads or prizes for utilizing your website. Additionally, there was another popular social media website from the 2000s, Zanga, that was fined for allowing those under 13 to sign up for the website. So there have been violations and companies who have paid for doing so. Now that we're looking at the future trends of protecting our children, as you can see in the pie chart, since 2005, we have noticed that specific foods have been targeted to children and teens. So not only are activities and websites providing ads to market to them, but now there's specific food, and the greatest ones are candy, snacks, and sugared cereal. So now we are thinking, well, what can be done to protect these children, especially since in 1998, not a lot of families had a computer, where now almost every member of the family has access to a mobile phone or a laptop or an iPad or something like that. So now we're looking at how advertisement is contributing to the ways that our children are forming their personalities, their habits, what they like, what they don't like, and it's because of these consumerism that is placed on them. And now parents are becoming more aware of the way that their children are being targeted. So now this future trend of protection is being more placed on the parents and the communities rather than the nation as a whole. Well, we are seeing that some states are placing more protections on internet usage or privacy laws for children, but now it has come in a way that parents are looking for avenues of that type of protection. So now we are seeing creations of websites that block ads that either target children or not. We are seeing that there are apps that are specifically created for children, so that parents are only able to have them use technology in that way and access the internet in that way. We're also seeing TV channels like PBS who do not have commercials outside of just their programming, so that they allow the child to only engage in what they have to offer. There's also websites that you're able to log on and see, well, does this movie have content that advertises to my child or not? And these websites can give a rating of a movie or a TV show for parents to then make that decision. So now that we're seeing this future trends, it's going to be interesting to see how the law changes, if not, or what ways our family is going to continue to take action to protect their children.